Next, American Journal. The scandal that's the talk of Washington. President Clinton versus Paula Jones. She claims she was sexually harassed. Now the case heads to the Supreme Court. Find out what this could mean to the president's second term. Then, the tiny beauty queen.
My name is JonBenet Ramsey, and I'm 5.5.
Team AJ uncovers startling new information about her mysterious murder.
I'm Nancy Glass. Don't miss the next American Journal.
American Journal, Monday at 7:30 on King 5.
For over 100 years, the Salvation Army has provided relief in every kind of disaster. Often on the scene within minutes, supplying food and medical supplies, shelter, and most of all, someone to lean on. The Salvation Army, making a difference for life.
There were once no white people here. The land was occupied by its natives. In the Seattle area, that meant the Duwamish Tribe and their chief, Seattle. Duwamish villages dotted Puget Sound and its tributary rivers.
There was a significant trade.
And Dorpat says white and native futures were intertwined from the beginning.
Right from the start, the natives were most helpful in helping the first pioneers survive, including David Denny. And even in the landing at Elkie Point in '51, the natives there were teaching them how to use well, basically, the tide was out, the table was set, or something.
Historian David Buerge.
There was intermarriage. As long as it was the pioneer class, there was no problem with intermarriage. When good, solid middle-class people came in and looked, they were horrified of racial intermixing.
And early photographs record the native presence. Dugout canoes at the foot of the commercial district selling fish and vegetables. But natives were gradually marginalized, forced to the perimeter of town, prohibited from owning land. The woman known as Princess Angeline, daughter of Chief Seattle, was often seen downtown in the 1890s. Angeline lived below the present Pike Place Market on the waterfront. She died in 1896. Angeline was buried in a pioneer cemetery near the Yesler family. Seattle's original Pioneer Square totem pole was in fact stolen from a Canadian Indian village. An arsonist burned the totem pole down at the turn of the century, and although it was lovingly reproduced, that's not the original one that you see downtown today. What the historian Paul Dorpat brings to life is the beginnings of the early community, and how events like the Gold Rush and the Great Fire put a permanent mark on the modern community.
The Gold Rush just kicked it like that. It just tremendously gave an influx of energy and interest and of traveling men, as they were called, single men on the way north, spending their money, coming back, spending their money. Most of them didn't get anything up there. They came back broke. But the ones that came back wealthy, including a lot of locals, including the mayor who quit to go up there, and it went on for, about 5 or 6 years, because the gold mining went from the Klondike eventually up to Nome. The population of Seattle in 1890 was 40,000. 10 years later, 1900, it's reaching 100,000. Imagine that. You double the size of the town in 10 years during the gold rush time. Another 10 years later, it's almost more than doubled again. In 1910, it's like 230,000. So from a town in 1880 that has 3,000 people, in 30 years, you go to a town that has over 230,000. What a mess. What a creative mess. And in the midst of that, the town burns down. It has a gold rush. It goes through 3 depressions.
Early Seattle was a rough place. A place where the pioneers assembled to have fun.
They were rough because what? What was around here? It was the hormones of all those lumbermen, right? And all those miners coming into town looking for recreation. Most of the people weren't living in town. They were living out in the woods. They were doing the hard work of pulling out the raw materials. Not much stuff was coming in here. A lot of stuff was going out. Wood, coal, minerals, other minerals. And those people needed recreation, so there were a lot of whorehouses here.
Well, when you say recreation, you mean booze and
whoring.
Whoring.
Bordellos. Right. Bordellos, right. And, of course, that made for some very great tensions in the community with Protestants like Arthur Denny. Because although their rectitude was without blemish, they also realized that the vitality of their town and the saleability of their lots was at least somewhat contingent on sin. So they tried to make this distinction. They tried to separate sin from sanctity by reason of limiting sin to one area of town, ultimately they could move their homes up on First Hill, and so even look down on it and feel detached even more, not only from the sin of flesh, but from the sort of general tawdriness of even the commercial life. And so they would have their elegant domestic life up on First Hill.
But those lines still exist in the city, don't they?
Yes, in the human heart. In the human heart, they do.
Seattle once had more hills. It looked much more like San Francisco. But around the turn of the century, the engineers decided to flatten those hills. And we'll tell you why when we return.
This February, NBC's events are out of this world. Susan Sarandon, Tommy Lee Jones in John Grisham's The Client. Alec Baldwin is The Shadow. And a special NBC network premiere of Schindler's List. Plus, the world premiere thriller based on the Texas cadet murder. Don't miss all new must-see TV. Tom Selleck is back on Friends, as well as many more special guests. Plus, 4 all-new ERs. Exclusive NBC specials, the NBA All-Star Game, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, and all-new magic from Lance Burton. The biggest event of all, you brave twisters, earthquakes, and towering infernos. But can you survive them all in one night? Asteroid. It's an out-of-this-world February on NBC that will have the other networks asking.
Hit it, son!
Rosie's got the biggest stars for you.
You'll be laughing. Dreams come true on the Rosie O'Donnell Show with my boyfriend, Tom Cruise. Here's a story that seems to be Rosie's got the money. Check out Rosie. It's Rosie's show. She does it her way.
Every time I see you in concert, I cry.
Why'd you get bad seats?
I
brought you Baywatch.
Size 6. Perfect.
Tons of fun, and she's never known. Can I give you a kiss? Go see Mommy. Go see Mommy.
Who bring things and cakes? She's got what it takes. She's all that.
At the turn of the century, and again in 1928, Seattle flattened hills along its waterfront. They called it a regrade, but it was actually more of a scalping, as the tops of picturesque hills were sluiced into the bay with fire hoses and carried off by conveyors. It took away a famous hotel, as well as churches and schools.
So you see the regrade, the flattening of all those hills, is a terrible mistake.
Oh, it was a mistake. I don't think any reasonable person... No, I don't know that. It'd be hard to know what excuse there could be today to do such a thing.
If we can't put our waterfront hills back, figuring out the Seattle regrade has been an endless challenge to historian Paul Dorpat.
It's the basic thrill of storytelling or of narrative. It's hide and seek. It's not knowing something and having a hint of something and then finding something. Here was a neighborhood that had been destroyed. It was lost. What kind of evidences could there be for it? Where could I find them? And I started to search. The reason, they said, was because the hill inhibited the, in quote, natural, quote-unquote, northerly movement of the city. So they saw the hill as an impedance. I think really the reason they did is because they knew how to do it. And it was a form of engineering hysteria, in a way. You had to fall in line and cooperate. If you wanted to inhibit the city, then you were an objector, you were a negativist. No, you had to do it.
The remaining part of Denny Hill was more of an obstacle than ever.
So what we're seeing here then is actual film of the last of the Denny Regrades, the part that went from the cliff on Fifth Avenue east to Westlake Avenue.
Right, this is all of that. Property owners became insistent that an arterial should be cut through the hill to give better access to and from the north end of the city.
So this is not the original placer mining technique where they took and shot great jets of water against the hill to get rid of it, but this is the more modern devices like steam shovels
The plan adopted for handling the material under the contract was to move it on belt conveyors from the point of excavation to the waterfront, and there deliver it to barges for dumping into deep water in Elliott Bay.
If the mountain's there, you climb it. If you have the capacity to get rid of a hill, you get rid of it. You know, you have the machines to do it. You have testosterone, whatever it is that males carry around, and you do it.
Flatten those hills.
Flatten those hills. Maybe they were singing the Messiah, exalting the valleys and making the rough places plain.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
This is a real gathering place in 1910, being the
For many tourists and newcomers, Seattle history is first experienced through tours of the Pioneer Square Underground,
We already have your money.
a kind of walking stand-up comedy conducted in the basements of the 19th century city.
Does it pain you that people come to Seattle and what they take away is our wacky underground tour?
No, not at all. It's great entertainment, and the tour guides are often wonderful.
Dark, it's dirty, it smells bad. It's really neat. I think you're going to enjoy it.
The underground tours are based on one gag. As Seattle burned down in 1889 and then rebuilt on landfill to avoid the flooding that had plagued the early city. The old street level became the basement, and guides today lead thousands of people through the dank underground that was once Seattle's commercial heart.
The streets are raised 8 to 32 feet, depending on where you were. This one is raised maybe 8 feet. But at every corner, there was a ladder leaned up against a retaining wall. People in their 1890s clothing could just climb the ladder, cross the street, go down the ladder on the other side.
I remember in the mid-'60s, when we used to go into the underground through a trapdoor in a friend's storefront over here in Washington. Actually, it was Mike James.
And you could walk around.
Oh, yeah, we went down there. There was still furniture down there. I mean, it was much less, it wasn't developed yet.
Well, we're going to be cruising along the north side of Harbor Island here right now. If you look directly to the right, you can spot kind of between the levels of the viaduct there, the brick buildings, very distinctive of the Pioneer Square architecture, post-fire.
The harbor tour is probably the best way to get to know Seattle, isn't it?
Well, that's a good way to get introduced to it until they started building roads and railways into the city. Everybody first saw Seattle from the bay.
Now, if you really, really use your imagination a lot and kind of wipe out all of the cars and the skyscrapers and everything else and picture our tour boats as cargo ships and check out the Lady Washington coming in. In the old days, you could always see the large masts of sailing vessels alongside of these old waterfront piers.
Where can you find anywhere in the United States? Can you find anywhere in the United States a town of such topographic interest?
You mean with a lake?
It's lakes, it's hills, it's saltwater, freshwater, hills, mountains, rings of mountains. It's absolutely a charmed place. They called it the Charmed Land, actually.
Not long ago, a century-old photograph of Seattle was discovered. We'll show it to you and tell you what it reveals when the Compton Report continues.
Northwest Chevy Dealers present the Napa Auto Parts Motor Spectacular. Tacoma Dome, January 17th, 18th, and 19th. Kids tickets half price with Burger King coupons.
Happy birthday, baby. Although you're with somebody new, seems like years ago we met on a day I can't forget. Happy birthday, baby.
Evening Magazine for Monday, January 13th.
Okay, you may go through.
How do you get a dog to jump through a wall or a cat to smoke a cigar? Learn the tricks it takes to make your animal perform like a Hollywood star.
I want to say just a word about the site of our Florida project.
We'll take a look at the secretive past and the incredible future of Walt Disney World, including a theme park inspired by our own Woodland Park Zoo.
America loves the beach, Sunset Beach. This week, a greedy daughter.
You have stolen your last red cent.
A spiteful lover.
You either leave your hubby or tell him all about us.
Is one of them guilty of murder?
I didn't kill my father.
I didn't kill Dell.
The truth is going to come out. Sunset Beach, noon on NBC Daytime.
one turns, they all turn. Safety in numbers? Not always. When in danger, they can panic. The advantage of thinking for yourself lets you make clear decisions. It sets you apart and keeps you ahead. Mutual funds from American Century. Invest in our thinking.
The Compton Report is sponsored in part by American Century Investments.
It's very rare to uncover something like this now.
Occasionally, a historian like Paul Dorpat gazes upon a photograph that has been missing for decades, an image that offers a fresh window into pioneer Seattle. At the University of Washington Photo Library, Dorpat and two experts on early Seattle confer about a 127-year-old picture of Seattle. It's the second oldest known.
Up here, the Terry home, one of the original settlers, where the public safety building is today. Oh, look at this. Here's the first depiction of any street life in Seattle. This team and wagon right here on Commercial Street, which is now First Avenue South. So this is between Main and Washington Street.
Down around the King Dome.
King Dome is behind us, right about 3 blocks.
But the university has one still earlier photograph.
Well, this is the 1865 view by Samus.
And the enlarged version of Seattle's first photograph is one of the treasures of the University of Washington.
This is the earliest panorama of Seattle, and it's shot again from Plummer's Hall, probably from the roof line, because the elevation of this picture is at least 1 story higher than the elevation of this recently discovered panorama.
And it all matches up.
Oh, it all matches up. Now, the Samus is done, or conventionally dated in 64, 65, but you've determined from this research pretty much precisely when it was photographed?
Yeah.
Did you find a citation on it?
Yeah, I was going through the weekly paper, which was called the Seattle Gazette, and it mentions that this flagpole was put up in late May of 1865.
Okay.
And then the Yesler's Pavilion doesn't show here, which is
right there.
Going to be right there.
Yeah, right there.
And that was started to be built in late June. So this shot was done in June of 1865.
So we know.
Wow.
Why are these so precious? What does this tell you that you couldn't find anywhere else?
Well, there has been so much regrading and reconfiguration of the city that this is great because it gives you the original terrain, the original beach, shoreline, and what the whole layout of the city was, and also how it originally developed.
Just the intrinsic pleasure of these photographs. I mean, they don't have to be very instrumental. They are revelations of what this place looked like in its pioneer days.
Those who ignore history are not doomed to repeat it. Those who ignore history just don't have as much fun. And Paul Dorpat has saved much of our past for us before it can completely evaporate. I don't think he can ever be repaid for his historical quest. The city's history is not a blank slate. Seattle's past is filled with characters and crackpots and visionaries who gave us the modern city. Paul Dorpat has opened our eyes to our past. And we leave you with some final scenes of Dorpat at work.
Well, I certainly have love of Seattle, and I'm very familiar with it from my studies. But I am perhaps more in love with a Seattle that doesn't exist anymore, see. There were 9 sets of tracks that went from those buildings all the way out to the seawall. And this was Railroad Avenue. Of course, this is the end of it. I love it.
And can you put in very brief form what the underground... I'm sorry.
No,
come on, damn it all.
When I go back to, rediscover the contemporary sighting of an old photo, an old landmark, as I discover a parking lot.
Let me say for the record, I'm glad there's a Paul Dorpat.
Gee, well, so am I, actually. At least for a while longer.
Head to Play It Again Sports or Blimpie Subs and Salads to get your copy of King 5's Weather Survival Guide. Pick it up for coupons for Pacific Science Center for a free sub from Blimpie. Even a chance to win rollerblades from Play It Again Sports.
I'm Jeff Renner. This handy guide also includes some easy experiments to help kids learn more about weather and some helpful winter emergency telephone numbers.
Pick up the Northwest Weather Survival Guide at Play It Again Sports or Blimpie Subs and Salads.
Hi, I'm about to have a wild berry zinger. Sounds fun, doesn't it? It's the Celestial Seasonings Tea. The taste of those juicy wild berries really wakes you up. But there's no caffeine, so it won't keep you up at night. I love that.
Caffeine-free herb teas from Celestial Seasonings. Have a celestial night. And now try our Zinger teas iced. Drop a few bags in water, let it brew in the fridge, and you've got delicious iced tea.
That's easy. Would you pick out an apple while wearing a blindfold? Well, if you shopped at QFC, you could. Because before you ever see it, every apple, every tomato, every piece is cleaned and sorted and then carefully stacked by hand. And it's all checked for freshness throughout the day. So you always get the pick of the crop. QFC produce. It's a difference you don't have to see to believe. You know it's going to be good at QFC.
Don't just talk about the weather, do something. At the King 5 First Alert Weather Center. Use our exclusive Doppler radar and zoom in on approaching storms. Or track the weather with our SchoolNet system.
See what it's like to use state-of-the-art equipment and what it takes to create a First Alert forecast.
Blimpie Subs and Salads is proud to be a partner in this hands-on learning experience.
We invite you and your family to visit.
The Blimpie King 5 First Alert Weather Center at Pacific Science Center.
The Inside Story, Dwayne Pullman and the King 5 investigators.
This is Dateline Sunday, January 12, 1997. Tonight,
you could have a healthy head of hair again through surgery.
The pitch sounds promising.
You have hair added at the very least at the rate that you're losing it.
But is this always a way to beat baldness?
How much touch-up work did they end up doing?
7 surgeries.
7 surgeries?
7 surgeries and $50,000 later.
Tonight, Chris Hansen with a Dateline hidden camera investigation.
It was 1976 when a young woman posed for Playboy. Little did she know, it might come back to haunt her 20 years later.
When you were fired, what reason did they give you?
Walked in and he said, Patty, it's not working out. People are finding out about Playboy.
Was it, as she claims, these pictures that cost her her job? Or was it, as her boss claims, something else?
Did you fire her because she posed in Playboy?
Dawn Fratangelo asks, did old poses pose a new problem?
Who killed JonBenet Ramsey and why? As the days go by, the mystery grows.
The perfect mother, the perfect father, the perfect daughter. That's the image that we are getting right now.
Dateline's Len Cannon and People Magazine team up to bring you the latest.
It's a silent danger.
It hurt so bad. It was like, oh my God, what has happened? Why are my boys dead?
And it could be lurking in your house.
It's called the silent killer because of the way it really attacks its victim.
One family's tragedy that could save your life.
I don't want anyone else to go through this. It was a stupid, stupid mistake.
Tonight, the latest on protecting yourself from a killer. A Dateline consumer alert.
She got the role of a lifetime.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Madonna is Evita.
Do you think America's ready to shell out $8 for a musical?
Yes, because this is a good one.
And when the movie making was over, another role would change her life.
Wow, I mean, everything changes. I used to live this pretty, gypsy-like existence.
Matt Lauer asks, can you be a mom and still be Madonna?
Dateline with Jane Pauley and Stone Phillips, plus Tom Brokaw, Katie Couric, Bryant Gumbel, and Maria Shriver. From our studios in Los Angeles, here is Maria Shriver.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a moment that causes millions to panic. You look at your comb and discover a few more strands are giving you the brush off. In other words, you're losing your hair. If you've been thinking about those transplant techniques, you are not alone. Hair transplants are an $800 million a year industry, the most popular cosmetic procedure for men. But despite the promise of a full head of hair, can you end up feeling fleeced? Tonight, Chris Hansen with a Dateline hidden camera investigation.
Transplantation surgery creates a full head of hair and natural appearance right down to your hairline.
Anyone with a hairline that's creeping backwards can't help but notice them.
You could have a healthy head of hair again through surgery.
Ads and infomercials promising to give you back your hair.
Is this the year you do something about your balding head?
Can they really live up to those promises? Are the claims realistic? Can surgery restore your hair? We decided to investigate and were surprised by how many men we talked to who felt ripped off and disfigured.
How big is this problem? I don't want to sound histrionic and tell you it's of epidemic proportions, but it's of epidemic proportions.
Dr. Manny Merritt, who does no advertising, has been transplanting hair for 20 years and is widely regarded as one of the best. He says no balding man should expect to get back the hair he had at 17. A tiny minority can get the illusion of a full head of hair. Most will end up with a compromise at best, a thin, diffuse look. That's because you're not getting more hair, you're just rearranging it. The surgery is simple. A strip of hair is removed from the back or side of the scalp. This is called donor hair. It's cut up into small pieces or grafts made up of 1 to 8 hairs, which are then replanted in a balding area. But there's never enough donor hair to replace the tens of thousands that are lost. And as you age, you continue to bald. If you don't plan for that, the results can be disastrous.
If nothing is done to repair this, in 5 years, he will look like these are 2 grassy knolls on either side of an interstate running up the center of his scalp.
The baldest man. As long as some men think of baldness as a curse, pictures like this will seem irresistible.
Don't wait another day to do something about your hair loss.
By far, the largest clinic in hair transplanting is the Bosley Medical Group. Dr. Lee Bosley spent millions on marketing and created an empire. He now operates 28 offices around the country. Last year, his company performed 12,000 procedures.
I found the best way to have a happy patient is to simply determine really accurately what he wants to accomplish. Second, determine that I can do that. Third, do it. And I've got a happy patient.
Dr. Bosley introduced us to one of his happy patients, Warren Langford. This is Langford before and then after surgery.
I became much more social, kind of became the old me. Professionally, I became much more confident. It boosted my self-esteem.
Langford can sound like a walking advertisement for Dr. Bosley. But then he's had practice. He's in his brochure, his commercial, and his infomercial.
I don't have to wear a hat. I don't have to wear a hairpiece. It's virtually undetectable.
What Langford rarely mentions is that it cost $44,000 and took 10 surgeries over 10 years to get his hair. Even today, he continues to get touch-up work. But if Warren Langford represents Dr. Bosley's dream patient, meet his nightmare. When he was 24, Mason Boggs went to the Bosley Clinic in San Francisco. He says he was told he needed 2 surgeries for $5,000 each, and his hair would be thick and full again.
The hair that was planted did grow, but it was very, very thin and very detectable, very noticeable.
He says his doctors told him to be patient and prescribe the same procedures again and again. Not just transplants, but more serious surgery. It's called a scalp reduction. The idea is to reduce the bald area by literally cutting it away and then pulling the skin with hair closer together. But the surgery leaves scars. So Boggs felt compelled to get more transplants to cover the scars. And he kept losing hair. And that led to still more surgery.
I was always told throughout every surgery that this will be the surgery that makes the difference.
For the past 7 years, he's been hiding the results of those surgeries under a hat. Boggs says he was deceived and disfigured by Bosley Medical, and he sued. Bosley refutes the charges, and the case was dismissed because the statute of limitations had expired. Boggs is now appealing. He says surgery by another doctor improved things, but his hair still looks thin and uneven. There's a large hairless strip down the top of his head, big gaps where the donor hair was removed, and a hairline that looks bumpy and unnatural. But he says the emotional impact is even more painful.
I'm a completely different person, not outgoing like I once was, no self-confidence like I once had.
Mason Boggs isn't the only Bosley patient who's angry. We also talked to 22 other patients who went to Bosley Medical. They say they're too self-conscious to appear on camera, but they told us about botched surgeries and broken promises, stories that were confirmed by more than a dozen former employees of Bosley Medical.
We were selling image.
Joe Cox worked at Bosley Medical for 8 months in 1991. He says there was a big gap between what Bosley Medical sold and what it delivered. Did you ever see any patient come into Bosley and walk out looking like the brochure, like the advertisements we see?
No.
Never?
Never.
What does that say to you about the kind of work Bosley Medical does?
It tells me that it's not a medical group, it's a sales group.
Cox says he made good money at Bosley, but after seeing the disappointing results most men got, he started feeling guilty. He says he was about to blow the whistle when Bosley fired him. The company says Cox was dismissed because he refused to call prospective patients at home in the evening.
As I design your hairline, I will be using Michelangelo's rule of 1/3.
And while Dr. Bosley's surgical reputation is excellent, he performs less than 1% of the procedures. Most patients wind up with one of his 15 associates. Dr. Bosley claims that's not a problem because his surgeons learn the art of transplanting when they take his rigorous 9-month training program.
I truly believe that we have by far the finest training program for hair transplantation surgeons in the world.
That's not true.
How would you describe the training program?
It's essentially nil.
Dr. Stan Zoslow was a surgeon at Bosley's Beverly Hills office for 14 months until January 1992. He says there was virtually no training. He watched a half-dozen procedures, and then he was on his own.
It's a mill. It's a factory. And the whole policy is just push procedures, do as many procedures as you can.
And according to Dr. Zoslow, it's Dr. Bosley's senior medical assistants, or SMAs, who push the hardest.
So these are all micrographs of 1 to 2 very fine hairs per graft.
With those official titles and white lab coats, it might surprise you to learn that at Bosley's clinics, SMAs don't need any formal medical training. Dr. Bosley invited us to spend a day at his Beverly Hills office. The SMA we saw was low-key and informative. And Dr. Bosley himself came in, examined the patient, recommended surgery, and even told him that his hair restoration could be very expensive.
If you want to go home and think about it, take your time. We're in no hurry.
But Joe Cox was an SMA. He said consultations were very different when our cameras weren't there.
Basically, the SMA was there to do the bulk of the consultation, and the doctor was there to do very little of the consultation because he only made money doing surgery.
Did you feel you were playing doctor?
I did feel I was playing doctor.
Is it possible to sign up for surgery at a Bosley clinic and meet your doctor for the first time in the operating room? We sent 2 Dateline associate producers wearing hidden cameras to Bosley's New York office. One was offered surgery within 5 minutes, though he did have a 12-minute consultation with a doctor. But the other Dateline employee, Jeff Pullman, never saw a doctor.
You're looking at about 300 to maybe 500 grafts, if that. Probably more like 300 or 400 grafts, I think the doctors would say.
Bosley maintains a consultation with a doctor would have happened before surgery actually began. But Jeff never met a doctor before being scheduled for surgery.
I have Wednesday available.
If that's accurate, I'm very concerned, and that's 100% against our policy. If we were to find that there was a doctor or a medical assistant who was pushing patients toward moving forward with the procedure, that doctor or medical assistant wouldn't be with us anymore.
How aggressively do they push? In Jeff's case, he was never told it could cost tens of thousands of dollars to treat future hair loss.
As you lose it, you can always return for additional sessions and always have hair added at the very least at the rate that you're losing it.
Patients at the Bosley clinics do sign consent forms, warning them that scalp reductions do cause scarring and that follow-up visits for additional transplants may be necessary.
They tell you that occasionally their diagnosis has to be revised somewhat, and there's touch-up work, they call it.
How much touch-up work did they end up doing on you?
7 surgeries of touch-up work.
7 surgeries?
7 surgeries, 7 different procedures, and $50,000 later.
That was the idea. Get them in, get them started, get them hooked.
In fact, Dr. Bosley urged us to talk to 28 hand-picked patients. They were all satisfied with their results, but 7 said they had been misled about the number of surgeries and the total cost to restore their hair.
The SMAs were paid a contractual amount per month plus bonuses for the number of patients they would, quote, put in the chair, unquote.
I would call it a commission.
Selling medical procedures on commission is considered unethical by every doctor we spoke to. The danger, critics say, is that if SMAs are motivated by money, then surgery can be overprescribed, risks glossed over, results exaggerated, whatever it takes to sign up a new patient. Still, Dr. Bosley says there are no commissions, just incentives.
If you work hard and we build the practice and the practice grows, I'll give you raises in pay. That's how our SMAs are incentivized.
Isn't that a semantic difference?
You're after this like a dog after a bone, and so I'll stay with you on it. We don't have salesmen at Bosley Medical Group. We don't even want to ever hear the word sales mentioned in our company. We don't believe in that.
Dr. Bosley contends that the charges against him are untrue. He says 99% of his patients are satisfied. He even hired a former investigator for the California Medical Board to do undercover spot checks at his clinics. Bosley's investigator told us he gives the clinics high marks. In fact, Dr. Bosley sees himself as the victim in this story, the victim of jealousy.
Our results are outstanding, and when someone's large and successful, that breeds perhaps somewhat of the oldest of human motives, which is jealousy.
There is bad blood between Zaslow and Bosley. Zaslow says he left because he was fed up with a practice he felt was unethical. Bosley says Zaslow broke his contract, and Bosley sued him 2 years later.
Dr. Bosley may say that you were a disgruntled employee, didn't want to go along with the system.
I'm sure Dr. Bosley will say that, but then someone should ask Dr. Bosley, who did those beautiful transplants on your head that you show in your video when you pull your hair like this?
It won't pull out or fall out. It's permanent lifetime hair.
Who did them?
Dr. Zaslow, me.
Dr. Bosley's critics may now be feeling vindicated. This past October, the California Attorney General and the Los Angeles District Attorney concluded an investigation into Bosley's clinics. While it did not involve the quality of medical care, they did sue Bosley for false advertising and unfair competition. While Bosley Medical settled without admitting to any wrongdoing, it had to pay a penalty and the state's legal costs, a total of almost $650,000. And with the industry expanding, doctors like Manny Merritt say the bottom line for anyone considering surgery is simple.
Be very suspicious of anything that sounded too good to be true. It sounds like just like what you need, and what you could be buying for yourself is a lifetime of trouble.
As part of that settlement with the state of California, Bosley Medical must now tell patients that hair transplant surgery may cause scarring and that it doesn't prevent future hair loss. Before patients go into surgery, they are required to have a consultation with a doctor and get a realistic idea of what they'll pay for restoration. And from now on, all those dramatic before and after pictures from Bosley Medical will carry a disclaimer that says not all patients can achieve the results depicted here.
Still ahead, the latest on the murder of 6-year-old beauty queen JonBenet Ramsey.
I think we forget in all this. She was a little girl. She got a brand new bike for Christmas that she probably never got to be on.
When we gave drivers of the Mercury Villager a smooth car-like ride, we didn't forget about the passengers' comfort. We gave them independent heating, air conditioning, and separate audio controls, along with 4 captain's chairs and an innovative sliding rear seat, all giving further proof that Mercury Villager's back seats don't take a back seat to anyone.
Body and this much softness is now even easier to manage. The perm sale at JC Penney Styling Salons.
People call you guys bunny spotters.
Bunny spotters. I think that it trivializes what we do. It's much larger than that.
To watch somebody see it for the first time.
Whoo!
I feel very fortunate to be here because, you know, when we're all gone, it's still going to be out there.
Let's see TV! NBC! Tuesday, on an all-new Mad About You, Jamie's getting ready for motherhood.
You had any sense you'd march in there and rip it out of his stubby little hand?
How you doing?
Then hang on. It's a Crazy Tuesday News Radio.
Okay.
And an all-new Frasier's caught with a convict's wife.
Oh, dear God. He'll kill us.
Then special guest star Mackenzie Phillips reveals Richard's secret love for Caroline.
Putting it all together, meeting at Remo's. Oh, my God, Richard.
New comedy, NBC Tuesday.
Dateline NBC, winner of 8 Emmys last year, more than any other news magazine, awarded again and again for excellence in journalism. Dateline will be right back. Shatter conventional wisdom.
That was different.
Engineer a revolution.
That's cool.
Turn dreams into reality.
Not exactly for everyone, is it?
That's kind of the point.
Manufacture adrenaline. Open new doors. Fuel the imagination. Blaze new trails. It's how we do things at the Chrysler Corporation. It's how we build great cars and great trucks.
Just because a glass and surface cleaner is blue like Windex doesn't mean it cleans glass as well as Windex, because only Windex is specially formulated with ammonia D. It leaves a beautiful streak-free shine. Just about anyone can appreciate. Windex, the best on glass, from S.C. Johnson Wax.
From our studios in New York, here is Jane Pauley.
2.5 weeks since a 6-year-old beauty queen was found bludgeoned and strangled to death in the basement of her own home, there continue to be more questions than answers in the investigation. Who killed JonBenet Ramsey? Dateline has teamed up with People magazine to cover the story. Here's Len Cannon with the latest.
18 days, and the question, who killed JonBenet Ramsey, is still the #1 story in Colorado and across the nation. The mysterious death of the 6-year-old beauty queen has turned Boulder upside down. It's not just the mystery, it's the hundreds of journalists who are flooding into the normally quiet college town. They're all hungry for information, and they're not getting much of it.
Wait, I think you guys are a bunch of vultures. This is sickening.
Local residents aren't talking.
Back off a little bit and give us some room to do our jobs.
And neither is the police chief.
I'm a local girl, and it's been tough.
Vicki Bain is the Denver-based reporter for People magazine.
I would say that this has been one of the most closed communities and one of the most closed police departments that I've dealt with in a long time.
I don't care to comment on that aspect of the investigation.
Since Boulder Police Chief Tom Colby met with reporters late Thursday, little more has leaked out about the murder investigation. But there has been one major leak. and it sparked outrage and anger.
Freedom of the press is one thing, but what they did is they've received stolen goods.
I think that's very probable, and certainly that deserves an investigation.
The Florida-based supermarket tabloid The Globe has just published morgue photos of JonBenet, photos officials here say may have been stolen from the coroner.
I think it's sickening, and I hope they find who got the pictures and who's responsible for it.
The photos in The Globe are disturbing. 2 pictures of the little girl's hand, another of the tool used to strangle her. In a written statement, the Ramsey family called the decision to publish the photos beneath contempt and called the editors of The Globe jackals, not journalists. The Boulder County Sheriff, meanwhile, has launched an investigation into how The Globe obtained the photos. People in this area who do want to see the pictures may have a hard time finding the tabloid. Many local stores are refusing to carry it, and some residents are even calling for a boycott of stores that do. Ever since JonBenet was found murdered in her own home the day after Christmas, reporters like People magazine's Bain have put JonBenet and her parents under a microscope. What kind of relationship did Patsy Ramsey have with JonBenet?
Most of the people that we have talked to, without exception, say that this little girl was the love of her life. Obviously, she has considered her her best friend.
The picture that I'm seeing is that John Ramsey, wealthy, successful businessman, Patricia, loving wife, gives a lot of parties, they're very social.
That's the image that we are getting right now. The perfect mother, the perfect father, the perfect daughter.
This is JonBenet.
It's been a week since the Ramsey family was last seen in public attending church. Today, with media interest in JonBenet's story even higher, the family stayed away.
I think we forget in all this, she was a little girl. She was only 6 years old, the kind of little girl that still enjoyed having a dog lick her face and enjoyed riding her bike. She got a brand new bike for Christmas that she probably never got to be on.
We'll be right back.
Coming up, is your home harboring a silent killer? A family that wants its tragedy to wake up the rest of us.
And had I bought them when we talked about it, my kids would be here.
A Dateline consumer alert.
Monday, Dr. Art Ulene's 4 Weeks to Fitness program kicks off week 2. More of the simple steps you need to get in shape and stay there. Monday on Today.
Some call it a time bomb. Sexual harassment at work. Victims are coming forward in record numbers, costing companies tens of millions. The fight for fairness for women. NBC 90 News, Monday.
Tonight, it's an all-new Third Rock. Looks like Dick's doing a little research.
I'm finding out what happens when the spit hits the fan.
Better hang tight. This show's big, with guests Mike Ditka and Wayne Knight, plus Harry as Mrs. Dupchick.
Sure.
Hello. Then a special Sunday, Men Behaving Badly. Great. Must-see comedy NBC tonight.
When a madman goes after a female cop, it gets personal.
Don't tell.
I'm taking him down. The 87th Precinct, NBC tonight.
On the next American Journal, the scandal that's the talk of Washington. President Clinton versus Paula Jones. She claims she was sexually harassed. Now the case heads to the Supreme Court. Find out what this could mean to the president's second term. Then, the tiny beauty queen.
My name is JonBenet Ramsey, and I'm 5.5.
Team AJ uncovers startling new information about her mysterious murder.
I'm Nancy Glass. Don't miss the next American Journal.
American Journal, Monday at 7:30 on King 5.
The Inside Story, Dwayne Pullman and the King 5 investigators.
From our studios in Los Angeles, here again is Maria Shriver.
It's something you never think about, but perhaps you should. It can hit any home with deadly results. We first met the Burt family when they had come face to face with this silent killer. Their story could save your life. The latest on keeping your family safe in this Dateline Consumer Alert. When a blast of Arctic winter attacked Kimball, Minnesota last January, Todd and Cheryl Burt and their 3 children shut their newly purchased dream house up tight as a drum and climbed into bed.
We had built a fire in the fireplace downstairs for the first time because it was
so cold.
At 4 in the morning, 16-month-old Zachary woke up his parents. The house was cold, so Todd shut the flue on the fireplace while Cheryl turned up the thermostat and fed the baby.
I remember just that dizzy, dizzy, dizzy feeling. I'm falling over, and black. I can remember that. And then remember laying on the floor just shaking and hurting and just not being able to move at all.
I heard her calling out for help, you know, Todd, I need help. She was saying it so slow and so painful, it was like, I got up and went into the bathroom to see what was wrong with her, and that was the last thing I remember.
For the next 9 hours, Todd and Cheryl lay in pain, shivering, drifting in and out of consciousness.
Not being able to move or even, you know, comprehend or reason or think. It was just being numb, and every time you